Hey everybody, this is Jeem. I want to comment on this recent event with Iran and Israel. So I know that a lot of you are in shock. You don't know what to do. And you need old Jeem to tell you truth from fiction. Speaking of fiction, check out my new fiction book at some point. That'll be released. But what I think of the events of the last 48 hours. I do think that it's not entirely unexpected. Now, I wouldn't have bet money that Israel was actually going to strike Iran itself right now. However, this last 7 months, more events have happened in the Middle East at a faster pace than they have happened in the last probably 8 years put together. We had Israel's invasion of Lebanon, the destruction of much of the chain of command of Hezbollah. We had the ousting of Bashar al-Assad and his Ba'athist government from Syria, replacing it with the interim government of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, as well as a conglomerate of other Islamist-type rebel groups that have now been brought into the fold of the Jolani or Ahmed al-Shara government. All of that happened in the span of a couple months. The Houthis have been bombing Western vessels in the Red Sea, and now the attacks in Iran. We've been hearing for 2 decades that Iran is, quote, close to getting a nuclear weapon. And is that really the case, or is this another case of Saddam and the WMDs? I actually don't think it's a case of Saddam and the WMDs. I think Iran actually does want some kind of nuclear weapon. That's pretty obvious. And for those of you who study realpolitik and you're not taking opinions on this matter, it's not surprising that Iran wants nuclear weapons. They want to be like North Korea, that nobody can actually invade because of the threat of nuclear warfare. Even though just in terms of standing armies alone, North Korea could put up a bit of a fight. It's not going to defeat a Western alliance by any means. So Iran is not like that. You know, their standing army, while impressive compared to the, let's face it, shithole Arab countries which are its neighbors, and I can make those jokes because my family happens to be from one of those. Compared to them, Iran is quite impressive, kind of like Turkey. But actually, I would say it's a lower grade army than Turkey. But compared to Israel's capabilities, just that small country has so much Western support, it's unfathomable that Iran could ever actually win a war, a proper war, like a standing war. So I don't think there's going to be a standing invasion of Iran. If there was, you don't need to worry about being drafted. The standing forces for the United States military is enormous, and the reserve is another, I think, 500,000 people. They really don't need neats on the internet, so stop with this whole nothing ever happens, oh, now actually it's nuclear Armageddon. It's not going to be nuclear Armageddon. I do think that Iran will try to do some kind of retaliation. Unlike what happened with Qasem Soleimani, this is not just the destruction of one person, it's a bombardment of Iran's country, like the borders of Iran proper. Not some militia leader or IRGC leader who's in Iraq or Syria. That's kind of different. That was considered to be free game. But this attack in Iran is so severe, it's such a move to the next level, that even MBS, the crown prince and de facto leader of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, has come in defense of Iran and condemned these attacks. Now, you're not going to see the Jordanians doing that as much because they've actually been intercepting Iranian attacks and preventing them from hitting Israel. Why is that? Well, the country of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, or the kingdom really, is much more of a Western vassal than Saudi Arabia is. So people say, oh, Saudi is just licking the boots of the West. That's actually not true. Saudi can get away with ignoring the West whenever it wants. Most of the Gulf countries can at this point. Oman doesn't really dabble in any of that, but the Emiratis and the Saudis are really their own micro powers. They don't need to obey everything America, China, or Russia tells them to do. Whereas with the Jordan, they kind of have to. So any predictions? Well, if Hezbollah tries anything, and yes, they do still exist. So for some of those people saying, well, there is no Hezbollah, Israel destroyed them, it's over, Jeem, what are you talking about? That's not entirely true. Hezbollah is still there politically. They don't have as much military firepower as they used to, but they still have some, and they still have influence in Lebanon because the LAF has not, in fact, gotten rid of any of their weapons. They have not been disarmed. So they could theoretically attack Israel, though I don't know if that would be wise at this moment in time. As for Syria, the interim government only controls about 35% of the country, quite frankly. I don't think they're going to be putting up any fight with Israel whatsoever. I think Jolani or Al-Shara is way too smart for any of that. And then I think the Saudis are going to try to broker some kind of a deal. It's clear that Russia is trying to broker a deal. So they want to come on behalf of Iran and kind of slightly neutral towards Israel and establish some kind of peace. As for my prediction, there's really no prediction I can give other than what are the realistic outcomes. So I said Iran's not going to land invade Israel. Israel's not going to land invade Iran. If America does anything, it'll be supplemental naval or air battles. It's not going to be sending in an army of 100,000. Now, again, I might have to just accept that I'm wrong on that, and that could happen in the future. I don't think it will, and I don't want it to. But if it does, I really don't think there's going to be some kind of a draft. I do also think that it's been proven that Trump is kind of a paper tiger at this point in terms of geopolitics. Like, he says a lot of stuff and he wants to make a lot of change, but Netanyahu totally blew him off, totally ignored him. Trump wanted to meet, or have some of his people meet, a delegation sent from Iran in Oman to discuss this idea of the nuclear program and getting Iran to get rid of their weapons. Israel went ahead and bombed them before that meeting could ever take place. The Saudis and the French wanted to discuss a two-state solution for Palestine, again, this week in Saudi Arabia. That's not going to happen now with the warfare that's happening at this current point in time, because now France, even though they're pro-Gaza, are pro-Israel when it comes to being against Iran. So there's a lot of moving pieces. That's my quick report of it. Please like, comment, share this rough video, and get ready for some other content to come as well. Maybe the chronicles of my upcoming fishing trip.